everyone. Welcome back to Talking Shop with ShopSabre. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about why running a business isn't for the faint of heart. Because, well, it's not for the faint of heart. We're going to talk about, all the things between rising cost and supply chain concerns. I think there's plenty of those out there for people. And then, obviously, of course, our favorite labor shortages. And then increased competition. I think the world is getting busier. And then, of course, society in general is just making doing business a lot more difficult. And sometimes you just feel like the deck is kind of stacked against you. So first, though, as always, I'm your host, Brandon Bombardo, and I'm here with Bowser, the weatherman, Nick Peters.
How's it going today?
It's going, man. We're not on the roof.
We're not. It's cold.
It's cold.
Well, coldish.
It's
windy. It's like 30.
Coldish. It's not cold, actually. It's not. We said we were going to be on the roof this week because we were supposed to be warm, but yesterday was 70-something degrees.
It was.
So now 40 feels cold.
Went on a 31-mile bike ride. It was great.
31 miles?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you bike or did you just ride the bike?
A little bit of both.
You just hit the button?
Pedaled a little bit.
Did you sneak up on any deer this time?
I did not.
That was awesome.
I couldn't go in the woods. It was muddy.
Wet.
And yeah, I don't want to
I mean, you could have gone into the woods.
Yeah, but then I'd gotten all dirty and probably had to push the bike back out because I couldn't ride it. It would have been a nightmare.
Well, that sounds like a nightmare.
That was fun.
It's cool. Got your bike back, though.
I did.
And he fixed it.
He did. Fine young man from New Prague.
Is it fast?
Fast as it always was.
Oh, it's not any fast. You didn't soup it up?
No.
Should have souped it up.
I was going to put a turbo in it, but...
The turbo electric bike.
I didn't want to take off and start flying like the kid in E.T. because it goes so fast and just lift off. Fly over the deer.
Phone home.
It's off to a great start.
Yeah. Hockey season's finally over.
But is it, though?
It is for me.
Until when? 2 weeks from now?
Yes, 2 weeks. When you say it like that, it doesn't feel as good.
I mean...
We get a 2-week break. During that 2-week break, we're on vacation. Spring break. And then...
They're going to find a way to play hockey.
No, they don't.
No.
Nope, they won't. And then we're going to be going into summer hockey and camps and every other stupid thing. I'm stupid. I mean, why do I do this?
Because your kid has a 1 in 832,312 chance of making the NHL.
I don't even want him to make the NHL.
I mean, I know, but...
That's the worst part. I am the dad that's I hope he never makes the NHL.
That's fair, but you still want him to be good. You want him to have fun doing it.
I want him to learn life skills, is what I want.
That's fair.
Because I don't want him to go be in the NHL because then he has to be famous. And because he's famous, then everybody judges everything he does all of the time and you're in the spotlight. You can't really live a normal life because you go to the mall, they want to talk to you. You go to the supermarket, they want to talk to you. You go to the amusement park, they want to talk to you. So you don't get to enjoy your life.
Just wear a fake mustache and a clown wig.
I want... Okay. What is he, Mario?
Luigi.
I wanted to...
Much cooler, brother.
I wanted to I would rather get him the life skills to be the CEO of a company, so that way he can enjoy his life and still live comfortably.
That's fair,
right?
Yeah.
So,
and like you said, not many people make it to the league anyway. So.
Right. I mean, especially
prepare to be better. I mean, prepare to, like you said, be successful in other avenues.
And, I don't care.
Enjoy hockey while you play it.
Yeah, and I don't care. I mean, if he goes to the NHL, he goes to the NHL. But I'm not going to go out of my way to help him get there. Some of these parents, they put everything into their kid because he's going to be an NHL player. Nope. It's not. If he's going to, it's going to be natural. It's not going to be because I pushed him there.
Right.
But, yeah, so hockey's finally almost over.
For now.
Yep. I mean, it's over-ish. And then they'll be back on.
And then the arenas are, warm. At least you won't freeze.
That's what I love about it. I love summer hockey for that reason. It's 80 degrees outside, and you're oh, it's kind of warm out here. Good thing we go in the hockey rink today.
Right. That's awesome.
So, and all the boards are fogged up half the time because you can't see. So it's going to be good.
Then can you not see the puck because it's all foggy? And
no, you can see.
Oh, okay.
They have really good. They usually have pretty good humidity systems in those rinks.
Yeah. What else you got going on?
Nothing.
It? Racing soon?
Racing soon. Yep, racing soon. Is Stella sold out of Girl Scout cookies yet?
No, but
wow,
she's kind of at that age where she's doing so many other things.
Got it.
That she's actually as a 6th grader made the high school play that's happening in the spring.
That's cool.
So that's kind of cool. So she's busy with that every day for school and
nice.
They're 12-year-olds that hang out with their friends. They're never at home. And it's just like, I'm not going to spend my entire life this next month selling cookies for you.
I haven't seen any cookies come to work yet. Usually you have boxes of them here right now.
It's just like, we have what we have, and
How do I steal them if they're not here next to your desk when you're not there?
it's a great idea. I don't know. I mean, I can bring some just for you. What kind you like?
All of them?
All of them?
Yes. The answer to that question is yes.
That's fair. So yeah, it's just like one of those things where it takes a ton of time and effort, and when there's so many other things going on, she's just like, I'll sell what I can. And
does it bug you that the kids are getting older?
I mean, yes and no.
It bugs me.
It's just like, I don't know, they're kind of growing into their own and doing their own stuff now.
Right.
Like they don't want to, not that they don't want to hang around with their parents, but like they have other things that are more fun, right?
Yep.
Like
I have an 11-year-old and, well, soon to be 11. I shouldn't say I have an 11-year-old. He'll be 11 very soon. But dude, like it's killing me. Like he was my homie. Like, right? Yeah. Him and I did everything together. And now he's getting to that age where it's like, Dad, can I go hang out with my friends instead? And I'm like, don't say it. Right? Don't say that.
Yeah. And then like you ask them if they want to go to dinner or something. Yeah. Like, no.
Yeah, like that's exactly. He's like, no, I'd just rather stay here. I'm like, you don't want to go do something? What about ice cream? He's like, no.
Like you've spent the last 3 hours on your phone with 40 people on FaceTime just doing who knows what. You can't understand anybody because you're all talking at the same time.
Yeah.
But now you won't take an hour to go have a cheeseburger with me? Like, come on.
It bugs me. I don't like that they're getting older like that.
That's why the fact that Drew is still 8 and always wants to like throw a baseball and a football and do whatever else. Like,
but see, my 8-year-old doesn't.
I'm just going to do it all the time. Like
Ethan's my antisocial. Like he just doesn't care. Like he never got into sports. He just isn't that kid. Like he'd rather sit and play video games, right? Yeah. You know, I have to like convince him to go do something else. And then he gets mad at me because I don't let him play video games all day long. Right. And I know it's better for him, right? That I'm forcing him not to play video games. But then he's like more upset at me than he doesn't want to play with me. But like Caden was the opposite. He never wanted to play video games. He always wanted to throw a football, a baseball, hockey. Now he's just like, Dad, can I go play hockey with my buddies? Hey, Dad, can I go to my buddy's house? Hey, Dad, can I go? I'm like, oh, man.
I suppose.
I'm like, fine. See you.
Right. It's one of those things where, like, I don't know, it's kind of a fine line. Like, they're hanging with their friends, not getting in trouble, not doing stupid stuff. Like, not that you think that your kids are going to do that, but, like, you know that they're doing things that are productive and stuff like that. So it's like, it's hard to not want them to do it.
No, I agree. You know, and it's kind of like what brought me into like, you know, you got all the stresses of the world, right? And, you know, obviously everything going on. And then it brought me into the thought process like, man, and then business gets stressful. And that's what today's episode's kind of about. Because, you know, honestly, like business, you know, is hard in itself, right? Like, and then you think about parenting and it's hard. And like everything you do, you feel like you can, I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like the older I get, the harder everything seems like it's getting. And I don't know if it's just because like everything else is getting faster around me, you know? But I don't know. It's just watching the kids grow up is like one of those things that's really like, like I'm not ready for them to be independent.
Time is a thief, that's for sure.
It is. Time is a thief.
It goes by fast.
That's for sure.
I know it's cliche to say, everybody says it, but it's true.
Yeah, enjoy your time, man, because it is. It's something that it bugs me a lot. You know, it's one of those things where I don't know. You just 1 minute they're 3 and the next minute they're 13. Yep. You know, and it's like, what happened?
True story.
How am I old enough to have a
next thing that's going to happen? They're going to be checking you into an old folks home.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
let's move on.
Okay. So what should we move on to? Customer questions and comments.
If you got some questions and comments, let's do it.
All right, I got a couple for you.
I bet you do.
3 questions and a statement. How about that?
3 questions and a statement. I like it. Let's go.
Question number 1.
Okay.
Why are there no bellows on the Fiber Sabre? Won't that cause issues for the bearings? I thought there might have been a typo in this question because I don't know what a bellows is.
No. The answer is no. They will not cause problems with the bearings. Bellows or covers or whatever you want to call them, something that basically protects the bearing or the track from debris is what they're talking about. And actually, we have found, because of the bearings we use, and of course our bearings have seals and scrapers and they have things on them, that the bearings actually don't seem to get harmed by it if properly maintained. In certain abrasive environments, yes. I mean, of course, bearings have some issues, but actually trying to give air circulation around the bearings and allowing that when the machine moves, it actually can knock the debris off of it versus the bellow contains debris. And so if something gets in there, it gets trapped in there and gets kind of recirculated all the time. So not that it's not going to work. I mean, there's plenty of machines out there that use bellows and that they're successful with them, but we've just found that it's not necessary for the way we've designed our machines. And yeah, I mean, our machines have extra sets of wipers in them. They have extra sets of bearing protection already on the bearings. We use an upgraded bearing. So no, we've found that that's just not necessary on that machine. So,
all right. Number 2.
Yeah.
Auto tool changers seem essential. It seems to me that having the tools preset will reduce crashes.
Yeah, the auto tool changers, in my opinion, are very essential. I mean, for one, it reduces your labor, right? You can't pay somebody and the same amount of money as what it costs you to buy a tool changer. But you're talking the difference between a machine with a tool changer without a tool changer is like $6,500 or $7,000. And I just look at it as I can't pay somebody that much money to change tools all year long, right? So it pays for itself in that perspective alone. But to their point, like, yeah, I like the idea of presetting my tools to avoid crashes, because once I've set my tools up, like I can program the machine and I don't have to worry about the fact that the tool offsets are going to change. And, it's one less variable. And so, yeah, I mean, it does. It helps protect against crashing, and it puts you in a better situation, I think, long term. So.
Does it also prevent the person that would be changing the tools from putting the wrong tool in?
Well, exactly. And that's what causes the crashes. Is exactly. They put the wrong tool in, or they tool height it wrong. And exactly. They're just human errors that occur, right? And we talked about it earlier in this episode. Life is going faster, and you always feel like, you have more and more to do and less time to do it. And so as you rush through things, you're more likely to make a mistake. So having stuff pre-set up eliminates that rush.
Got it.
So
last one.
Yeah.
ShopSabre is not American made. They use stuff imported from other countries.
I guess false is the best answer I can give you there. Yeah, no. ShopSabre is American made. You can come to our facility and see it. So anybody who makes that claim is just trying to stir the pot, I think, more than anything, or trying to create a name for themselves on the internet. But the reality is we are American made. We're built here in Lakeville, Minnesota. You can come to our facility. You can check it out. We invite people who are interested in buying our machines to tour the facility, tour the plant. Actually, part of our training class that's done in the facility does include a tour. And I think there's plenty of people that can vouch for us that we are building machines here in the United States. I mean, we have our own electrical department. We have our own paint department, our own welding and fab department, milling department, assembly department. I mean, there's nothing about our product that doesn't say it's American made. So I don't know where that statement would really come from. But I can say that the second part of that, we import from other countries. I mean, of course, we import certain products, right? I mean, the spindles, for example, right? The spindles are HSD spindles. Those are built in Italy. So, I mean, I guess in a roundabout way, yeah, we do import accessories or, parts that we do need for the machine. But the reason we do it is because they are the premium brand that people are trusting. So we're not importing stuff to cut corners. Again, we manufacture a large majority of the machine right here in the United States. We have, like I said, we have our own control box manufacturing department. Like, they build our control boxes, our control assemblies. So again, to say that we're importing things, I think is a pretty loose statement.
Well, I think there's a big difference in using high quality components from other countries as opposed to getting a pallet full of
finished goods
that you screw or weld together to make
right. And that's exactly
it's a big difference.
Yeah, like when people say import, I mean, a lot of times it's like they're importing the frames and the machines are sub-assemblies and they're just basically being, if anything, put together here, right? Yeah. And I don't think that's fair to accuse, to make the accusation that ShopSabre does that, because we can prove that we don't. I mean,
there's steel trucks backing into the shop every morning.
Every single morning.
They're cutting. I mean, there's just...
We have a steel delivery every single day of raw steel. Like, we paint machines every day. We weld every day. We mill every day. So again,
there's 10 guys down there running wires to control boxes every single, it's just, it's
a very different statement when you're saying we import a spindle or a vacuum pump or things like that versus, and of course, even the bearings, right? We don't build our own bearings. So yeah, those things we do buy from bearing manufacturers. But to say that we import, I think is just it sounds like a competitor making a statement, if anything.
And I think it goes back to what we talked about on previous episodes, like, do your research and find out what the true answers are and what the true meaning behind what somebody says is.
Yeah, it's an uneducated statement in itself. I mean, we definitely do a lot of things to make sure that we are as American made as we can possibly be, and we try to avoid cutting corners where we can. So, Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, my statement on it is simple. It's just ShopSabre is proudly designed, engineered, whatever you want to call it, fabricated, built here.
From the ground up.
Yeah,
I mean,
here in
really,
Minnesota,
yeah.
right? And it's in Lakeville. Again, come check us out if you want to see us. We welcome tours. I mean, it's something that we're really proud of. We can do FaceTime video with you if you don't want to fly here. I mean, we have no problem doing that. But every manufacturer out there, I will say, worldwide, we do source some components. I mean, I will say that, there are certain components that we get from reliable sources and ensures the highest quality and performance that we possibly can get. However, the heart of every ShopSabre machine, if you will, right? The structural steel, the frame, it is built here in the United States. We cut the steel, we weld the steel, we paint the steel, as I've talked about earlier, all the way to final assembly, right? We put everything together here, and then it's American made. I mean, we test it. We do go through a rigorous testing process, and we remain committed to supporting, American manufacturing. I mean, that's why we give lifetime tech support. It's why we give training. It's, we are delivering an industry-leading product, and we are going to stand behind that, and we're going to take a lot of pride in the quality and the precision that we can output. So the answer to that one is no. We are American-made. So
that is correct.
Cool. You have one more, you said?
No. I'm going to save it for later.
Oh. Sounded like a dad joke to me.
No.
All right, my turn. Questions for you guys, in this sense, a little bit more fun. If your CNC machine, for you that own machines, right? If your CNC machine had a theme song, what would it be when it powered up, and why? What theme song would you want your CNC machine to be?
I already have my answer.
Go.
Hooked on a Feeling. I don't know why that popped into my head as soon as you asked.
You fire your machine, I'm going to start playing Hooked on a Feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
High Unbelieving.
I like it.
I don't know. It's just
I
don't know, man.
Tried convincing our team that when you power up the fiber laser, that it goes pew pew. But I couldn't get them to build that into it.
But now somebody's going to do it.
I wish they would. It's cool.
Be sick.
Pew pew.
You just hook a speaker up to it somehow, and then as soon as you turn the power on,
it just plays that sound.
That'd be awesome.
They didn't want it. They didn't think that was a good idea.
Well,
or I wanted to do the Austin Powers laser. I didn't get either.
Well, we know who the fun people are at this place, huh?
Apparently.
Not them.
Not them. But
what's yours?
I just told you.
No, that was sound effects.
That's what I want. That's what I want mine to do.
That's a cop-out of an answer.
Sorry, bro. That's what I wanted to do.
How about just come up with something on the fly?
That's all I got.
Fine.
I'm not. You're not going to be peer pressured into coming up with an answer on this.
You know what my other one might be?
What's your other one?
Country,
Top Gun theme song?
Country Road, Take Me Home.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's a cool song theme.
I want to throw an answer. I will put Top Gun. I want the Top Gun theme song. I want that to be it when it powers up.
All right. That's fine. You can have that.
There we go. So
hooked on a feeling.
For all of you guys paying attention here. So if your CNC could have its own theme song, what would it be?
This could be great.
I
really hope we get a lot of replies.
I'm excited.
This would be really entertaining.
I'm excited for it. Who knows? Maybe we'll play some of those songs next week.
Maybe so.
But yeah, today's topic. Let's jump into it. Businesses that thrive, really, they are the ones that avoid. They are not the ones that avoid challenges, right? I mean, challenges, I think, are in everybody's lives every day. We all deal with things, right? And the reality is those businesses that are successful, they thrive because they face their challenges head on. They're not afraid of them, right?
Yeah, don't back away from it.
Yeah, I mean, they just adapt. It is what it is. Like, a challenge is to be expected. So, like, if you're expecting a perfect world, like, you're probably setting yourself up for failure. But, today I wanted to tackle the common hurdles of business, right? And a lot of things that business owners are facing, and share some of the stay-ahead strategies, right, for success. And obviously your goals are always profitability in any business and, keeping yourself moving forward. So, I think that's a big thing for me, is just as people start to think about business, especially right now. I mean, just in general, people have a bunch of concerns in the world, and I think it's easy to get in your own head and think it's worse than it is right now. And the reality is, keep moving forward, right? Keep facing the challenges. You had challenges last year. You had challenges the year before. We've always had challenges. And every year I hear it from some business owner that, this is going to be the year, right? And every year we make it past it. Every time as long as you keep your feet moving and you're not irresponsible with your actions, right? I feel like there's a lot of ways that we're all going to find a way through any hurdle that was thrown at us, and
you just can't let the fear of the unknown win.
Well, I mean, there's always an unknown.
Right. Just continue to do what you do and get better.
Right.
And just not focus on the bad, like focus on the positives, right?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I hear a lot of from business owners, though, is, and the thing that a lot of people fight is labor, right? Employees. That's the number one complaint I hear from business owners is employees. And it's related to labor shortages. I can't find any good employees. That's the one thing you always hear. Or the ones I can find, they don't show up, right? Or the skill gap is another thing with employees, is that people demand to be paid, the same as each other, or if you will, right? They want equality in pay there, but they don't have equality in skills.
Sure.
And it's like, that's where business owners, I think, struggle the most, is with just understanding that labor shortage, that labor skill gap. And obviously everybody in the world has like pride in what they do, right? They believe that they're the best at what they do. I mean, it's just kind of natural, but like, you have to be realistic and understand that like, there are people that have better skills heck, there's a lot of people out there that have way better skills than me. And I understand that. I know why they've been successful at what they do, and they do things just that I don't,
Do you think too that maybe sometimes people get too hyper focused on wanting somebody that does a specific set of things that they're looking for?
Yes.
Instead of like maybe being open to the fact that, hey, this person's going to be a great worker. They're going to show up. I can teach them to do what I want them to do. Like if they're willing to come to work and work hard and learn what I want them to do,
right?
Just because they don't have like a degree or experience doing what you're looking for doesn't mean they can't be a successful employee for you. And
I think that's where the world started to go wrong in that, is that like we became so heavily dependent on degrees, right? And I don't know why, but C's get degrees just came to my head. I don't know why.
Because anybody can go to school for 4 years. Okay, not anybody, but if you go and put in the time and go to classes and do the work, even if you do it mediocre, just because you get a degree doesn't mean you learned anything that you got the degree for.
And that's where my point was, is that like you don't have to be anything extraordinary, right, to be a graduate, right?
Right.
Like, attend the classes, do your thing, and you'll graduate. And does that make them a better employee than the person who just chose not to go?
No,
I don't know that it does, in my opinion. Like, I get it, degrees, and there's a lot of people that put a lot of time and energy into education that are extremely smart, and props to them, but that's not everybody.
Right.
And to me, that's where you're finding the problem that people are facing right now, is finding skilled workers has become harder and harder, right? And training people takes time. And unfortunately, in this, as we've talked about today already multiple times, the world is moving faster. And so we don't have the resources sometimes to dedicate to training.
Well, that, and I feel like people aren't as dedicated to the job or a specific job or staying at the same place like people used to be.
Right.
Like my parents worked at the same place from when they left high school till they retired. People don't do that now. Like they'll work somewhere for a couple of years, they'll find another opportunity that pays them more or gives them the ability to work from home or whatever it might be, and they dip. They don't care. Yeah,
I think it's become competitive is the thing. Yeah. And so to stay competitive, I think especially like the problem solver to like labor shortage is automation, right? Is investing in automation. I think a perfect example of that is when COVID hit, right? There was a lot of businesses that stayed in business because of automation.
Yep.
And there's a lot of places that heavily relied on automation to get them through those times. And technology in general made it possible for people to maintain their jobs, because prior to COVID, working remotely was a lot less, right?
Right, for sure.
And then
non-existent, really.
For a
lot of people.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it wasn't even possible. But then because of technology, they were able to embrace that, and people were able to keep their jobs going. And realistically, the world weathered it fairly strong considering, right?
Yep.
And now you move post-COVID, and it seems like automation is a big answer to people's labor shortage problems. And it's created somewhat of an employment gap for people because automation has replaced some jobs, right?
Well, and I think, too, it made it easier for companies to use automation and replace people that didn't want to come back and work non-remotely.
And that's the thing, is I think that's the big thing about it is like the people who are willing to put in the effort and the energy, they're still going to be able to be successful, right?
Sure. Yep.
Because these machines don't run themselves. You still have to have somebody that's willing to run them and be good at that. So it's just changing the way the job's done a little bit, right? Rather than doing it by hand now, you're running that machine.
Right.
So I wouldn't say it's replaced people, right? It's just moved the energy, right?
Yeah.
You can do more with less, right? And so the other thing that I think that is a problem solver for labor shortages is cross-training. I think, as you mentioned earlier in this episode, is people become too focused, hyper-focused on one skill set, right? I want this person to do this thing. And the reality is what is that person capable of doing? Can you push their capability? Do you have an employee that works for you that you're just not utilizing them to their full potential?
For sure. Yep.
Nick, you're that guy for me. Like, speaking openly to it, like, you've been that guy here that when we hired you for a set position. But then we realized quickly that, like, you're more than capable to do more than that. So, like, how many times has your job title been, like, kind of
just kind of in the air,
right?
Whatever,
right? We've moved it around. Like we've had you help us with a lot of stuff here, and we continue to do it because we know that, like, for one, we don't want you to be bored, and you've said it. Like, I don't want to be bored. Yeah. So if you could take on more workload, I'm just going to help add more to it, right?
Yep.
And how many times have we talked? Like, is this too much? And you're like, no, I'm doing good, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, but that's the thing is, like, how many other people have employees like you, Nick, where you have this skill set that is well beyond what you're hired to do?
I think it's just, it's a willingness to just learn and jump in and help out when you can. Like, hopefully more people than not are willing to do that to help people out.
And as an owner of a business or, the manager of a business, you should be wanting to build a versatile workforce, right? That's something that you should want to, like, really strive for. You shouldn't feel bad that you don't have set skill people that are doing one thing. Like, you should want to adapt and change with your business. And being able to tackle some of your bigger jobs and your bigger tasks and your challenges that, you're faced as a business with the employees you have is actually an underutilized skill, because a lot of people think that, like, they can't do something because they don't have somebody that has experience in it. And it's like, a lot of people are willing to learn.
Yeah. And I think, our managers or bosses sometimes, like, afraid to ask those people to do more for fear of them, like, not wanting to, or making an employee feel like they're having too much expected of them. Like, there's got to be a reason why people are afraid to at least not ask the question, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
It just seems like
I don't even know if it's afraid to ask the question. I just think it's a lot of times they don't know the questions to ask, the right questions. They don't know how to, ask them if they want more work or if they're trying to take, for me, I'm just very blunt, that. So I'll just ask you, are you bored? Do you have enough to do?
But it's also at the same time, like, you're willing to be told no.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask somebody and they say no, then you, like, respect that and aren't like, oh, well, I don't think you have enough to do, so you're going to do this anyways, type of thing.
Well, exactly. And that's my thing is, like, I asked the question with an honest question to it, right? Like, it's not a predetermined answer. Like, you give me your answer. I just want to know. And a lot of times, like, it turns out the way that, it works for both teams. So the other thing that I'm really big on here, and I think a thing that will help you with labor shortages and skill gap, is simplifying the processes. Don't make it so complicated for your employees, because that is where your skill gap comes in, is because you're making it so complicated that you have to have a very specifically trained person to do what you want to do. And, end user friendliness is a big part of success.
Yep.
If it's easy, if it's efficient, it makes other people want to do it.
Correct.
It's not, it's hard to get somebody to buy in on doing something that is inefficient and kind of frustrating.
Well, and then it's also easy, like, if, somebody's out for a day or a week, it's easy for somebody to hop in and fill that gap for
minimize the skill barrier.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where cross-training helps, is that when somebody's down, you have the next person that can step in. And you hear it in sports teams a lot, where it's next man up, right? That's the mentality of sports teams. And it's a real thing you should be doing in your company, because when something does happen, life happens.
Yep.
Somebody ends up sick. Something, happens in their life, and your business can't stop. So having that ability to the next man up, if you will, right? Next woman up, like, have the person in your business that can step in. And I have some very talented people here that have been able to do that over the years, where we are able to keep moving even through, challenges.
Yep.
So
always moving forward.
Yeah. And I think, as challenges arise, I think another thing that you have to think about is the rising costs of things, right? And that's the next thing I had written on my paper here was, rising costs and supply chain concerns. Because supply chain concerns a lot of times is a disruption in supply chain, right? You can't get a part, or the part is on back order, or the cost to get that part now has tripled, right? And so it changes really, for one, I look at our business. What's the one challenge we face? Well, it's material cost, right? Mm-hmm. We have to buy material because we're buying raw material and turning it into a good. So therefore, like as material costs continue to climb because they never go down, when do you have to recall your pricing, right? When do you have to talk about, okay, we got to update this. We got to do something with this because now our costs are starting to rise. But can you recall a time ever in your life when prices have gone down?
No.
It's pretty rare, right?
Often, no.
For me, I remember
maybe every now and again.
Right. It'll fluctuate a little bit.
But it's not going to steadily drop and continually drop.
Right. And that's where I'm talking about is like I think about fuel prices alone. Think about gas. Like when I was a kid, it was sub $1.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
What do you think the cost to ship something was back then compared to today? When gas is $5 a gallon for diesel.
Yep. The cost is going to get passed on to somebody. They're not just going to eat it. And
do you remember when diesel fuel was cheaper than gasoline?
Yeah, because didn't they tell everybody to go buy diesel cars because it was going to cost you less forever to run it?
Right.
And now it's way more, right?
And it just skyrocketed the cost of diesel, and it's never gone back down. So, like, remember the dollar menu? Remember being able to go to McDonald's?
It's now like the $3 menu.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, I remember in high school going to Taco Bell, and I could buy food for me and all of my friends, and it would cost like $14.
Right.
I can't buy food for myself for $14 anymore.
You're lucky to get less than 20.
Like, me and my kids went there, and it was like $40 the last time we went.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But like I think about that. So it's like, of course, these costs are passed on elsewhere, right? The delay in shipping, because things are taking longer now, right? You got to get through customs. You got to take stuff, so much stuff comes in from overseas now that it takes you forever to get a product. I ordered a shirt and it's taken a month to get the shirt. Like it just disrupts your product schedules, right? And now you talk about tariffs, right? Tariffs a big conversation. People are talking about U.S. tariff on imports, right? Yep. It's a buying shift. And what that's causing is people are now starting to buy more products in the U.S. Like we're seeing it. However, because they're buying more products in the U.S., that is creating a disruption in supply chain.
Right.
Because now demand for the goods is going up. Therefore, the available goods for manufacturers like ourselves to buy is becoming harder and harder to get our hands on.
I think it's that thing called supply and demand we learned in like 8th grade.
It is. Yeah. Yep, exactly. And so the solution, obviously, for this is, for one, smarter sourcing, right? You got to be smart about your sourcing. You have to build relationships. I mean, that's the big thing about, I just ran into my mic. Yeah, that's the big thing about, sourcing is you have to have reliable suppliers. Like you got to develop relationships, somebody you're going to trust, and consider, for one, domestic sourcing. Like we try to source as much here from the United States as we can. We talked about that earlier when people have said American made, right? Like ShopSabre is American made. So we try to buy as much as we can here. We try to reinvest in the very markets that we're, really depending on, because the United States is where we do a large majority of our business.
Yep.
And where our customers are located. So I ask you, or I encourage you, be smarter with your sourcing. Source from those who are going to be your customers, right? And then do business with them, because then they'll want to do business with you. And then you have to learn to minimize your waste. And that's where I think CNC automation comes into play, because precision cutting of materials makes a big difference. You're going to better nest your material out, and therefore you're going to have better yield. And the one thing I tell you is as material cost keeps going up, you can't afford to throw it away anymore.
Right.
Like you used to be able to throw away scrap material and just be like, yeah, who cares?
It's a lot of money you throw into a fire.
Yeah, it's a lot of money nowadays. And I know a lot of people that will take your scrap material because they know that they can make something out of something. And if you're going to throw it away anyways, it costs them nothing.
Right.
So you got to be aware of what your scrap material pile is looking like and what are you actually throwing versus what are you not throwing. Because material has value nowadays. So I think you have to be smart on that. And then, planning ahead, buy in bulk where you can, stock materials when pricing is favorable, because, it goes back to, material is as cheap as it's probably ever going to be today, right? Because in 10 years, you're going to look back and be like, remember when we could buy it for that? So it's like to avoid future disruptions and, it's buying the material you're going to need in the future.
That's what I was thinking, especially if you know that you do the same thing over and over and using the same stuff day in and day out.
Yep.
Why not just buy as much as you can afford to have on hand? And it's going to, obviously, when the price goes up in a month and you don't have to buy it for 2 months, you're ahead of the curve on the margin that you're going to make, right?
And that's my thought is like, don't be frivolous with your spending. Don't buy 2 years worth of stuff, right? I mean, you don't know what you're going to need maybe that time period, but buy for the future, not just for today. And that means like, maybe you're buying 60 days out, right? You know you have jobs coming. You know you have stuff, that you're working on. I think there's a lot of things in this world where you can really stay ahead of the curve by just buying for things that you already know you're going to do. You have the jobs already on the book. You might as well start pre-buying that material.
100%. And then you save 60 days worth of price markups.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is the third one I wrote down on my paper was staying competitive in a competitive market or a crowded market, if you will, right? The problem is, competing on price often means sacrificing profit. I mean, it's a race to the bottom. A lot of people are, price driven nowadays. So, price-driven businesses is bad business. I always refer to that as if a customer comes to you and says, "How cheap can you make it?" That's probably bad business. Like right away, you should focus your time on a different customer.
It's definitely not the customer.
Like they're driving your business into the ground.
They don't appreciate your value.
Yep,
at that
correct.
point.
Right. And I just remind business owners, I want you to think about this for a second. And this is a true statement. This is probably my favorite one to talk about because when was the last time Nike advertised their price?
Never.
Like, I can't remember the last commercial where they advertised their product's price, nor when's the last time Nike advertised themselves as being the cheapest brand out there.
Never.
It doesn't happen. They sell on value.
They have confidence in their product.
Correct.
They know people want their product.
Right.
And they just charge what they charge.
Right. And then, the other problem is standing out right now is more and more difficult because there's so many products out there nowadays, and everybody uses marketing creative marketing is what I call it, to mislead the buyer, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times, even like American made, it's become a buzzword. It's become this like statement. People, they do it because they know it will influence your decision making. So the problem is the word American made is thrown around now, even though a lot of companies aren't truly making them in America like we are. Like if you tour our plant, you see what it looks like. And then you tour competitors that have claimed similar statements and you see a very different, plant. Right. It's like, are they American made or American assembled? Because
it's an unfortunate reality, really.
It is.
Like
it used to be something that was like heavily policed too. And now there's just so much of it going on that it's impossible.
You could never.
Yeah. And so, the one thing I remind you is that success takes hard work, right? And therefore, like stepping outside of that status quo, it's harder to do that. It's easy to follow the crowd, but you can't complain about it. You just have to do it.
Right.
And so my solution for people in the, standing out and staying competitive, in the crowd is to focus on your quality first. Because I think focusing on your quality is never a bad thing.
Not one bit. No.
Delivering exceptional products that last, that people can depend on with precision and durability is generally not going to hurt your business.
Right.
It's one of those things where something people will believe in, and if they believe in it, they're going to tell other people. So that's the first thing that you have to do to step out. The other thing is you have to differentiate yourself through service. Because again, there's 100 products out there. What makes your product better than their product? Well, a lot of times it's you, the person.
Correct.
Be you. Be the person that, really took this to the next level and offer something that others aren't offering. Maybe it's the lead time, right? Faster turnaround. Maybe that's what your service is. Or, maybe it's just better customer support after the sale. Maybe that you go back and you check on them every year. Or, I don't know what your business is, but understand what service level you can do within your industry that others aren't doing. And be the difference between buying a product and buying an experience.
Just stand out in the crowd, right?
Right.
That's what you need to do.
Right. And then, you have to invest in your brand. That's the other thing that I always tell people is market your experience, market your expertise, because there's something to be said there with value, right? That you have to highlight what makes you you. It's okay to brag a little bit in this area. People, I think, in today's world are afraid to brag because they're afraid of like the competitors who are going to try to attack them. Like, you have to learn to block out the noise. You're going to find, for every 100 people that like you, you're going to find at least one person that doesn't.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of what you do.
Right.
Or being confident that you're selling something that might look the same as somebody else's, but you're selling something that's better.
And the thing is like the one person that doesn't like you is going to be the loudest.
Right.
Like, it is what it is. Just ignore them. Move on. Like, it doesn't matter because there's a lot of people that are encouraging you in your corner. So always brag about yourself.
And even if they are talking bad about you, they're still talking about you.
Right. They're still saying you're living in their head for free, rent free. So, yeah. And then the next thing is like, as you find some success, you have to manage your cash flow a little bit, right? Find a way to, make smarter investments. I think that's the next side of it is as you find success, you have to understand that one of the problems you're going to face is cash flow, right? Because the bigger you get, the more cash flow that moves through the business. Right. So it makes it hard to invest in growth because you got constant bills. And the other struggle that I think I hear a lot from business owners is their fear of spending money, right? They become fearful to invest in themselves because of the what ifs in the world.
Yep.
And they've become so stuck in survival mode that they forget that when you're just in survival mode, you're not growing and you're actually doing the opposite. The best way to, play defense is be on offense, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be smart about what you're doing, right?
Right.
And spend the money on the proper things and not
correct.
Go out and frivolously buy things
spend
that
to save.
Benefit you.
I mean, that's the thing about it is you have to spend to save and invest in high quality, equipment, products, whatever it is that you're doing to reduce long-term costs, right? You have to spend a little money sometimes to make more money later on. And some of that is about limiting your future downtime because you bought a more expensive piece of equipment. Yeah, you spent a little bit more, but you're saving money long-term, right? And, nobody makes progress by doing nothing is what I remind people. You also have to price for profit. Don't race to the bottom. Don't fall into that trap of just trying to be the cheapest product out there. Don't undercut your value. Your product isn't what your competitor's product is. So even though their prices are cheaper, you have to start selling what that value is so people can see that.
Right. And you know what you're putting out. You know the quality and what you're building or making or whatever it is. Like, don't be afraid to charge accordingly just because if somebody doesn't want to pay you for what you're giving them, like that's on them. Like, what you have into it for costs, labor, and all that stuff. Like, there's no reason to not charge what it's worth.
Right. Well, you have to price yourself for sustained growth.
Right.
Right. Because if you race to the bottom and just try to be competitive on price, you're going to put yourself out of business.
Yes.
Because you're going to find out that the profit margins you needed to make aren't there now. Cost of doing business is going to continue to go up. And eventually you're upside down. Selling that product isn't profitable to you. You're selling the product and it's costing you time, money, and investment, and you're not making anything.
Well, you don't want to have to sell, let's say, 80 of something to make the profit you could have made by selling just 40.
Correct.
By putting in the extra labor, time, and all the energy.
Stop chasing your competitors to the bottom.
Correct.
You see it in the cabinet industry a lot. You see it in the sign industry a lot. You see these guys that are just trying to make everything as cheap as they possibly can. And the problem is you're only going to sell that customer one time because that customer doesn't find what you did impressive anymore.
Right.
It's so cheap that at this point, I got the price that I thought I wanted, but now the product was so bad, they're just not going to come back to you.
Correct.
And it's better to lose that one sale that was shopping on price, but make 3 sales based on quality and service.
100%.
So you have to build to your strengths. Remember that. And the other thing is use current jobs that you're doing today to fund tomorrow, right? Your current jobs today should be helping you build your future. And being the profit, if it's where it should be able to be reinvested in your business. And that means buying upgraded equipment or software or technology, whatever it is you're doing, or hiring people, buying a new building. You should be building towards the future scalable growth. So your margin needs to be included in, a margin that is included in your product needs to be for growth.
Yes. You're always trying to grow. I mean, we assume you're trying to grow your business bigger and not just sustain it.
But, you kind of think about it like every business is going to face challenges, right? This is kind of my final wrap up of this is how you respond to these challenges is ultimately what defines your success. Because success comes in every different shape, way, form, whatever you want to say. But, things like planning ahead and automating and investing in quality, they position you as a company for a better future. And growth and resilience, right? All of those things come with challenges. You're going to face challenges. That never is going to go away. And so as a business owner, as you sit here, I hope you can understand that you're already doing something that a lot of the world won't do, and that is running a business.
Right. Yeah.
You're already a step ahead of the competition, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that have great ideas that will never step outside their comfort zone to do what you're doing. So as a business owner, don't beat yourself up for that. You're already doing 50% more than a lot of people. So now it's just about like taking the next steps and finding the right people to partner with, and finding that, and not even partner as much as like vendors and people that you're going to align with. Right. And I mean, ShopSabre is a company that's here to help you, right? We're here to help automation. That's one thing we do. I can't help you with material sourcing and all this other stuff, right? But I mean, if you're looking for, hey, how do I cut labor shortages? How do I fix my skill gap? Automation might be the answer for you, right? The first one that we talked about. There's ways that we can help there, and staying competitive in the crowd. Well, maybe it's about, instead of racing to the bottom on the price, I'm going to reduce my labor. So therefore, my margin increases, so I can cut prices without cutting margin. Because you have to do something if you're going to race to the bottom, right?
Correct.
You have to maintain profit. And so, we're here to help you with the right tools. We want to help support you along the way. I mean, again, we provide tech support with every machine because we believe in standing behind our product.
And we believe in helping you be successful.
Right. Yeah. So, for me, that's kind of like what I have to say about today's episode on that. I have a motivational quote that kind of goes along with it. And it's: the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is the little extra. And if you think about it, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is the little extra. And that was said by Jimmy Johnson, in case you're wondering. But it's the truth. You have to do a little bit of extra to reach that next level. Otherwise, you're just going to be ordinary like every other business.
Correct.
And so
I like that one.
Yeah, it kind of fits into today's thing. So, so if you're ready, obviously if your business is, ready to go to the next level, you're thinking about, okay, this year, how do I take more of the market? Why my competitors are getting nervous and they're clamping up and they're doing nothing. How can I steal more of the market share? How can I go out after their business? Well, you have to do the things they're not doing, and that is investing in yourself. And that is, maybe it's adding CNC equipment to your shop. So visit ShopSabre.com. If you haven't been out there, you want to explore our American-made CNC machines, please go out there, check it all out. We have a lot of great products out there. We're built, around the idea of helping you be efficient and grow. But the question I always go back to is, what's the biggest challenge that your business is facing right now? What is your challenges? Share your story. We want to hear it. Put it in the comments section. Send us an email. You can send it to marketing@shopsabre.com. You can put subject line as podcast question, right? But we're just, we're always interested in hearing about what your challenges are that you're facing. We'll talk about them in future episodes, of course. And then don't forget, like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast.
Follow us on Facebook.
Yeah, follow us on Facebook,
MySpace.
What other ones existed?
X.
Yep, all of them. But I mean,
all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we're here to network with you. Obviously, we want to build a stronger community of people talking about business. We want you to know that you're not alone in this whole journey. Like, we're all feeling it. We all have days where we feel like we're on the bottom, and then we have days where we're all on top. So you just have to understand that it's part of the journey. You're doing great things. Keep going. Keep doing great things. It's getting warm out finally, which is nice. So hopefully, like, some of that like winter blues will start to kind of slip out, right?
Yeah.
Open the shops up. It's going to be nice out. Clean up your shop. Get cleaned out. Get ready for warmer months. I mean, better weather's around the corner. It's nice.
The sun's shining. It's warm.
Yeah. Time to build your dream for 2025. That's the one thing that I tell everybody is you have an opportunity today to change to tomorrow. So let's just make sure you keep moving one foot in front of the other. Keep moving ahead. Your tough days won't last forever. So just remember that.
I took a good start heading into tomorrow.
Yeah?
Started a second diet today.
A second diet?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were on a first diet.
There wasn't enough food in the first one.
Okay. Fair enough. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that one, next week we're going to talk a little bit more about cheap prices versus cheap products. I think that's something that we'll piggyback off this episode a little bit, talk about that. I'm sure you all want to talk about that, the word cheap, right? Cheap products versus cheap prices. What's the difference? Yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to chatting about that one. But on that note, thanks for tuning in to Talkin Shop. I am Brandon.
And I'm Nick.
Until next time, keep talking shop.